What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video on the Rugby channel, and today we got something very interesting to talk about. So recently it was in the news the fact that transfer fees could be introduced to rugby. This is coming from the former player Scott Johnson, who is now I think he's associate with Australian Rugby, I'm pretty sure, but he has obviously done some coaching in the past. So he thinks that transfer fees should be introduced as a kind of a compensation for clubs that have developed like a player for about 10 years. So yeah, let's get into the video.
Welcome back to another rugby video. Please make sure you go ahead and smash that like button to show your support for the channel, and if you are new, please go ahead and subscribe. We upload rugby videos every single week guaranteed, so please click the notification button so you don't miss out.
Okay, so yeah, transfer fees introduced into rugby. It would be quite interesting. Personally, I kind of agree with it. I've always thought there should always be a transfer fee. I don't know what the current situation is with that stuff. I don't know if a player's just... I'm pretty sure it's down to contracts. So, for example, if I played for, let's say, Ospreys, and a player came and a team came along that wanted me, they would just offer me a contract with like higher money and stuff, and then I would go. I'm pretty sure that's how it works as of right now. So obviously Scott Johnson says that he wants to see transfer fees introduced, and apparently World Rugby are looking into it as well. Personally, I'm kind of for the idea, because it's like, let's say the Ospreys, well, let's not say the Ospreys, let's say, I don't know, Glasgow, okay? Glasgow Warriors, they've got a player that's been there for, let's say, in their academy, and they've been in the under-18s, the under-20s, and then they finally made it into the senior team. My voice is slowly going. And literally they've been there for, say, 10 years, okay, in development. Then a team comes along and says, you know what, mate? Instead of your £500 a week, we'll offer you £1,000 a week if you come and play for us. And that player just says, yeah, okay, waits for his contract to run out, and just leaves. So instead of that happening, that's not really fair on Glasgow. They've got a really good academy player developing him, and some team comes along and just poaches him away. Instead of that happening, there should be a transfer fee. So I would like to be able to see the team come along and say, you know what, we'll give you £100,000 for your academy player, and go from that sort of route. Another thing, from what I can make out of the article as well, is that Scott Johnson also wanted it to go by the amount of years that they've been there. So for example, let's say, I don't know, let's say Leinster had a player, okay? Leinster had a player that had been in the academy, and he left before he even made to the senior team. So obviously he wouldn't be as high valued as a player that has been there, say, for 15 years. So let's say, I don't know, let's say James Hook, okay? He played for Ospreys. Let's say James Hook never went to any other team, okay? And he got to the age of, say, I don't know, 28, okay? So he'd been there for a very long time. The moment that team comes around then and says we want to buy James Hook, they'll have to offer a higher value compared to a player that's only been there for 2 years. That's another thing that they would, well, from what I can make out anyway, that's another thing that was being discussed. Personally, I don't think it should go by that, because that way then it doesn't really make much sense. It's like a team holding on to, say, I don't know, a really bad player. They've had him for 10 years, okay, and then all of a sudden he has a one-season wonder, and then a team comes along and has to offer him more money than you would have to offer, I don't know, like Stuart Hogg, you know? So I don't think it should work like that. Personally, I think it will work a lot better if it goes by the quality of the player. I think that would be a much better kind of option, just because I think when it comes down to it, you want to be able to be, the big money players should be the better players rather than the players that have been at a club for ages, personally anyway. But yeah, it is a very interesting topic to talk about. Make sure, obviously the video isn't finished yet, but let me know in the comment section what you think of this. I mean, personally, like I said, with transfer fees, it should be for the quality of the player rather than the duration of that player has been at that club. I always kind of thought transfer fees were a thing in rugby, but apparently they're not, which is quite surprising. Unless there's something that I don't know about. But like I said, transfer fees, I'm all for it. I think it's kind of like a step in the right direction for rugby, because obviously with football you have literally so much money, ridiculous amounts of money being offered. I think it was like 200 mil for one player not long ago. which is crazy, absolutely crazy. So I don't want to see Rugby like that, because that would just be insane. I mean, like, you would think, well, probably one of the best players would be Faf de Klerk or something like that. I don't even want to know. If it was in that currency, I don't even want to know how much he would be worth. But personally, I would like to see transfer fees introduced just within reason. I think there should be a cap, like the most expensive player should be like $1 million, you know, or something like that. I'm pretty sure Dan Carr not long ago had a value of $1 million or something like that. I don't know whether it was he was being paid that per year. Probably that sounds a lot more right. But something like that should be introduced, but it should be within reason. Like I said, it should be the quality of the player rather than the duration that player has been there at our club, and then it should also go by literally within reason. Like I said, it should be a maximum spending amount of $1 million. $1 million is the highest amount that you can pay for a rugby player. That's what I think it personally should be, because I think from the Six Nations you make 60 mil if you win the Six Nations tournament. I could be wrong. This is going by well, last time I looked at this, so probably about like 10 years ago. So, going by that value alone of winning a major tournament like that, players alone then shouldn't be worth any more than $1 million, $2 million, I would say. That's just my opinion, though. It's a very interesting topic, because like, where do you even get the value from a player? Do you know what I mean? As obviously you go by what he offers you, the quality of him, but what do you actually go by to say,
you know what, that is 10 grand, that one is $1 million.
Like, what changes in order for that to happen? So it's a very difficult way to kind of narrow down how much a player is worth. I think if you were looking at it that way, it would go, the most common thing would be going by how much they earn. So for example, if a player earns £500 a week, and you times that by 4, which would be then $2 grand a month. So that kind of like narrows it down then, so you have an idea. So that would be, what, $2 grand a month times that by 12. That would be 24 grand a year that player would make, so therefore he should be worth 24 grand or 25 grand. But then, I don't know if that would make much sense, because you're basically just buying out their contract. So basically, the way I look at it is, I think it should go by quality of the player, which I keep saying all the time in this video. So quality of the player, I don't think it should be going by how much their contract is worth, because that just wouldn't make any sense, because like I said, if you're on a low wage, then you're not really going to get much for that player. So it should be, the value of the player should be how good he is. Whether, I don't know how you would measure that out though. It's like, how would you measure that out? I think if you were to measure it out, I'm really trying to think, this is a very deep thinking video. I think if you were to measure it out, it would be interesting to see the fact age come into it. I think that would be a kind of essential thing, because obviously if a player is like 34, he's not going to be worth more than somebody that's in, I don't know, so let's say 25 and is almost as good as him. So that should come down to, obviously age should be a big thing when it comes to it, because you need to know how much you're going to get out of that player, how many years. I think what I would like to see sorted as well is obviously when it comes to contracts. I know a lot of players like that play in France, like Welsh players play in France and play in England. In their contract, it doesn't allow them to play like a 4th international test for the autumn series. If England aren't playing an international game, apparently that, well, yeah, from what I can make out of it, if England don't play an international game, that Welsh player isn't allowed to play for Wales, because it's not a English rugby board like time scale for games, which I think is stupid. Personally, I think if your international country calls you up, I think that is something that needs to be introduced, because that is something that really all the clubs go, no, you know what, you're not going. We need you for this game against Gloucester, you know. So I think that is something that needs to be vitalised and really, really sorted.
What am I going on about? I'm literally proper dragging this out now, so I'm sorry. I'm literally editing this. I'm saying the same things over and over. So I just kind of skipped all this part because it's not important for you guys.
I hope you have stuck it out till this long. It's been quite a long one today, but I do want to try and make more longer videos. It's like 10-minute mark. A lot of YouTubers do that. It's for like revenue and ads and stuff like that. So I might try and get my videos up to 10 minutes from now on. But hopefully it hasn't dragged out too much. Make sure you go and smash the like button down below to show your support. And let me know in the comment section what you think about transfer fees. Do you reckon they should be introduced when it comes to rugby? And do you reckon something needs to be done about the international call-up for rugby players playing for their clubs? Let me know in the comment section. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and subscribe as well. We upload rugby videos every single week, guaranteed. I think this is like our 4th video this week, so if you're a rugby fan or a sports fan and you love rugby content, please stay tuned, click the subscribe button, and click that notification button so you don't miss out on any of our uploads. You literally will get notification on your phone. It will go like,
Pating.
ooh, what was that? And then my video would be there. So please click the notification button so you don't miss out. And yeah, I've been Andrew. I will see you in another video. Peace out, guys.
Time is unfair, 'cause I know you're out there somewhere, patient, waiting.